What's good? It's Music Nick, episode 148 of the Cook Up series. Today, we're gonna go crazy. I wanna cook up like 5 samples and like 3 beats. That's number 3. I think my Postmates is here. I'm not gonna record them all. What I wanna do today is I'm gonna be grinding all day. And then once I complete that task of 5 samples and 3 beats, I'm gonna do a recap at the end of the day. Show you everything we did. So yeah, we're not gonna be cooking up live. It's gonna be a rare one where I show you after the fact what I did, but it's gonna be worth it because we're gonna get a lot done today. So comment, like, subscribe, so we just Postmates and make some beats. I didn't end up being able to make the 3 beats with loops like I was talking about, but I did make the 5 samples. So I've got 5 samples to show you how I made them. I'm gonna show you how I made the melody, what effects I put on them, and how they came out. The first one pulled up right here. We'll skip toward the end where it's more full. This one's actually pretty cool because as you can see, we have a whole bunch of half times and some automations. So let's go see what we did here. So let's turn off that. So here's all the stuff that we used. So we started out with just this one-shot sound. And we created this simple progression just using these chords, but then sort of playing them in a different fashion, like having that middle one play after a step after. So actually, let me turn off all those half times. So that just started out as. Sorry, with no half times. So it started with that. We had an effect rack on there that kind of gave it that reverb, and then that sort of reverse sound is the crystallizer, and then it's got that reverse setting on it, and I put it up a octave, so it's kind of got this sort of echo, reversed, pitched up echo thing, but just subtle because that can become a bit overwhelming. Added in this accenting mallet. Again, if you're watching my videos, I've been really liking effect rack lately, and especially like this Echo Boy, just these big reverbs in Echo Boy and these Echo Boy delays as well. And then we had this cool one-shot synth. These are all one-shots from Bass One and Pilgrim. One-shot kits in here. This sounds sort of like a flute almost. Just drowned again in this like reverb and stuff, the whole entire thing basically. But yeah, it's kind of got a flute sound to it, but it's like a synth, so just kind of this like very repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. I wanted to have one part that was repetitive. And then we got this bass, but as you've heard me do before, I kind of like cut the actual bass part, so just kind of like gives it some feel. And then lastly, we put on this arcade, and really the arcade is the reason why we had all these half times. So the arcade is kind of crazy. So very crazy, once again just drowned in reverb. But then we had 3 different half times. We had one set on 1 bar, we had another one on 2 bars, and then another one on 4 bars. And so that's what all of these are. They're different ones. So we turn them all off, and then we create an automation clip to turn them on for like 1 loop. And then we chose what we wanted at each spot. So I ended up half-timing the whole entire melody. And then we put on, just to have a little bit different, because listen how different the arcade is on each of these, because I think this is a 2-4. This is the 1-2-4. Very repetitive. This one's going to be a little bit longer before it repeats. And then this one's going to be the longest before it repeats. So that's why we did that. So each of these has a little bit different of a feel. It gives the halftime a little bit different of a feel and kind of give it like different sections of the song. Looks like we threw in some halftime. We threw some RC20 on there too, just to give it a little bit of white noise. And also, I think I did this too because when I half-timed it, so I put that on after the half-times, because halftime obviously is going to make it a much lower frequencies because it's half-timed. And so I used that to kind of cut out those lower frequencies right there. And then we even like EQ'd it a bunch too, just to give it the feel that we wanted more. came out like this. As you can see, there might be like a pattern. Some of these might have some like similar features to them because I made them all in a row. So let's see how this one sounds. Alright, that was that one. Dark, half-timed again, sort of. Yeah, so let's see what we did here. So it looks like we changed the BPM at some point. We were originally at apparently originally had this at 170 BPM. We wrote this, we started out with just a bunch of C notes, just not even like a chord, just a bunch of C's. And yeah, we created this funky top line, and yeah, I kind of just went crazy. This must have all started out with just these chords at the bottom here. I remember now, and then that was a little bit too busy, so then I wanted a less busy section, so I just did this section over here. Less top line. And some simple little accents with some like one-shot sounds. Little pluck, almost like guitar. Another one-shot sound here. And then we added in with like probably a art from my Andromeda art bank, musicnitbeats.com. Yeah, with the royalty art from my art bank that you can get for free at musicnitbeats.com. Just filling in some space in the back there, and then another arcade. And then it looks like we half-timed it. And then again, we put RC20, and it looks like we did a similar thing here where we cut the low end while also adding in the vinyl noises. And we did a little EQing on it, and then we turned these off because when we wanted to play it back through the Edison, because we bounced it all out, and then it looks like we must have bounced it and then time stretched it up to 190, and that's where that final one came out. So this is like half-timed at 190 after writing it at 170. Let's see. This was a 4-bar halftime. That's important. Totally forgot to show you any like the effects that I put on any of those, but I'll show you on this one. Let's see what this one came out to be. Looks like we started out with just these Purity bells here. Looks like just this Sarah Angel's phone preset. I really fuck with that. Made our chord progression there. We added in effect rack. You know, like I said, we're loving these Echo Boys, just going crazy on these Echo Boys, just really making everything huge. And then we added in this gross beat. It just kind of had this, looks like we took the basic 2, but then we adjusted a little bit, just kind of made it had this little repeat. Just kind of give it a little bit of a feel to it, especially because then we were layering it up with a bunch of stuff that was with the same chords. So having this airy omnisphere pad type thing, added another Purity. I think this is the Purity sound that like we made the other day. Yeah, it is. It looks like it. That's the one that we made the other day for the video. So since we had those in there, we let this main one have a little gross speed action to kind of spice it up. Kind of gave it a little bit more of a feel. And then we got another Purity in here. Just this like winter lead, just kind of trying to get in some like different sounds that I've been using recently. It's like this, like some of these leads are fun. So threw that in there, just really subtle though. Looks like we wanted to save some CPU on those effect racks. We just kind of put a chorus and a reverb on there. The default chorus, brought it down to like 40ish%, then put on a fat reverb. And it looks like lastly we just threw in this ukulele, just kind of give it some more feel, just kind of running down these. And of course, Echo Boys. We didn't half time this one, but I feel like we probably could have. It probably sounded pretty cool. You can just do it later when you cook up with it, I guess. But yeah, looks like we didn't put any RC20 in that one or anything. Just kind of let it be that sound, and yeah, I think that one came out pretty tight. All right, let's listen. Alright, that sounds like it's chill, but then got some like crazy stuff coming into it too. So let's see what we did here. So let's say we start out in Omnisphere. What sound did we use in Omnisphere? I went into my Internet Money folder and just picked a random bell. It was the first one I picked on. I was like, alright, I'm just gonna write one with that because I didn't want to think about it too much. I just picked a sound. I was like, if this sound is good, I'm just gonna write with it. And sort of repetitive, but with a little bit of bounce to it, different like chord type progression thing. Because lately I would just sit down and every time I would make it like a triad, like I could have made it like that, but then I was like, no, just make it these two, the root and the third, and like play around with stuff and then have some like other shit. So like, yeah, it's trying to be a little bit different than when I usually just sit down and make a triad and like work from there. So trying to get creative. So that's what that is. And then looks like we layered it up with an electro sound. It's my favorite ARP, the whole bank, the all in ARP. So it looks like we just got that going, put it up an octave, super chill, put a little chorus on it, but we half timed it. Definitely EQ'd some of the low end because we don't need all that. It's just adding a little bit of a feel to it. The same thing again, threw it into a Purity. It looks like we use that same sound again. That's that sound that we made the other day in the sample cookup video. Went well with this Omnisphere sound. But we put it down like an octave, it sounds like. And then we got this flute type thing. I think it's the pan flute for sure. I don't often use the pan flute, but it kind of fit on this. And then this is where we kind of like, it was a little too chill. It needed a little bit more attitude to it. So we went into Electro. I think it's a Roy Major. It's called Moon Dust from his Pluto Electrobank. But we turned off one of the sounds and kind of tweaked it a little bit, and then we got this after putting in that same pattern again. That's pretty much just like the same simple chord progression, not simple necessarily, but the same like chord progression, just put on a whole bunch of sounds and this one top line on it. Yeah, and that top line is really mostly like determined from this. It's like basically mostly that. So it's a lot of stuff laid up, same stuff, and then yeah, once again, no crazy RC20s or anything, just like so yeah, you make a chill ass beat with that. So go on to the last one. That one's fucking crazy. Wow, I made that? Damn. Alright, let's see what the hell we did there. So we started out with this crazy ass E-True sound pad pinch. I swear there's definitely like a side piece that's definitely made beats with that. I feel like there's definitely a song. Comment below if you know what I'm talking about. There's like definitely like that's definitely used in like Internet Money videos and shit. That sound is so familiar. Like it just immediately makes me think of a side piece beat, but I don't know what it is. But anyways, we got that. Let's see. yeah, again, we just didn't want to. Like I said, I'm always making these triads, so we're like, no, I'm just gonna use like the B and the F. That's like the root and the fifth, I think, and then just make an interesting chord progression. So I definitely had like the scale pulled up in here so I could see the ghost notes, and I was like, all right. I sometimes just like the feel of like I didn't even necessarily think of what chord this was gonna be. I just know like the shape of things. So I'm like, when I have a chord like that, sometimes it sounds cool when the top notes get higher, but the bottom note gets lower, and so that's pretty much where that came from. And then just kind of wanted to have some repetitiveness, but kind of following it there, and then yeah, and get this. Repeated it, add some top line on it. Added in after that this purity. Let's just a Celesta, just the basic Celesta. I'm pretty sure that's what was used on the chorus of Somebody by Lil Tecca, Internet Money. But yeah, just added in this top line on here. The main part of this was like when I wrote like this first thing, I just kind of wanted to be weird, like boo boo. Then otherwise those are just notes from whatever chords are playing. Just kind of like experimented up down, like made it sound cool, randomized the velocities. On the second half added this crazy top line. And one of my favorite things to do recently that I kind of got from Nick Mira is like pulling like this right here is just the same as I think as this, just an octave up and ever so slightly shifted. I really like that sound, especially toward like the second half of things when it's gonna like repeat. And then we look like we added another Electra sound. Oh yeah, that's kind of crazy. Just this Tropics pluck, just like real kind of intense sound. I don't usually make like things with too much intense sounds like that, but I was fucking with it. Just kind of like tucked in with there, gave it some real grime. And then this crazy vocal that had added so much bounce from Arcade. I like that. It had like two different endings, so the first one went, and the second half was. That shit's crazy. Drowned that in fucking reverb and shit, and like put a slight high pass filter on it and kind of cut the shit that we didn't want. The purity looks like we just had some basic choruses. Yeah, it looks like all these other things, the Electra and the two Electras and the purities, we just kind of used the internal effects on those, and like they already had like a little bit of delay and like things on there, so just kind of add some basic shit on those. Nothing crazy at all on here, just that one effect rack on there. And then we had a parent EQ ever so slightly cutting things. That's pretty much just because we half-timed that. Yeah, we had this halftime just added on at the end here for that whole like giant piece at the end. I just love the way when you have those really high-pitched vocals in Arcade, how it sounds when you halftime it and they get lower pitch and everything. One bar halftime. And then yeah, then we bounced that shit. So yeah, that's that was our crazy cook up yesterday. That's just kind of went hard. We're trying to cook up like 5 samples every single day. And as you can see, that last one that I played you them in order that I made them, like that last one I think was definitely by far the best. And so like by the end of the day, I'd gotten like that practice in and like made that one crazy. So 5 samples a day at least, that's the goal. Trying to work in cooking up with other people's samples also. So I want to make my own samples and like cook up beats with other people's samples. If you want to send me shit, send it to musicnickbeats@gmail.com. I'm trying to cook up with it. So hell yeah, man. Hopefully you learned something today. Go cook up your own loops. Comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate y'all. It's Music Nick. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.